to creature-based permanents, but really Liliana's pretty difficult for him to deal with. He has two detention spheres, and outside of that, he's going to have to counter it on its way down.
Yeah, exactly. If he sneaks, or if Josh can sneak a Liliana into play, the ultimate can put Caleb in a really tough spot, as well as just stripping his hand of all the goodies.
Yeah, now remember, the interesting part about Caleb's deck is that his win con, as opposed to being in Treat the Angels, is he is playing Rest in Peace with Energy Field and with Helm of Obedience. So then the question is, what lateral damage is the main deck Rest in Peace going to do? Well, it will get, there's a full set of Lingering Souls in Josh Hendricks' deck. It will certainly make that card worse. Energy Field won't really be able to lock out Josh. He has too much one-mana removal that he'll be able to blow up an Energy Field if Caleb tries for it.
Exactly. Just a simple Thought Seize kills the Energy Field. So, Caleb Durward, pretty light on win conditions, as all these blue-white decks are. He has the 1 Helm of Obedience, he has the 1 Entreat the Angels, and 3 Jace the Mind Sculptor.
Right.
Those are his only paths to victory. Josh Hendricks, on the other hand, has a lot of varied paths to victory.
Right, Hendricks' deck, yeah, I mean, he's trying to deal damage here. So he's going to start out on Godless Shrine. He, that will take 2 damage, put him down to 18, and he will start by Inquisition of Kozilek Caleb. So we'll get to see both players on 7 here. Remember, Josh Hendricks, as the number 2 seed in the tournament, gets the privilege of going first in this matchup.
And Caleb Durward legitimately thinking about Force of Willing this card. Kind of interesting. It's a really rare play, and it's usually wrong to Force of Will the turn 1 discard.
Well, sure. I mean, would you rather get Inquisitioned or Mind Rotted?
Right.
You know, is really the question. He really wants to stick this counterbalance, I think.
He also has a Sensei's Divining Top. That is a really important card against these black-white discard style decks.
Right, because that way you can basically hide your top card, hide the card you actually want until you need it.
Right.
So basically make it discard proof. Caleb, but yeah, that's the card he's got to be protecting. He has countertop in his opener.
Right, and if he does Force of Will, he will be pitching a counterbalance.
Right, so he's gonna force it.
Oh no, it's a Jace actually. Okay.
So he's all in on keeping this countertop.
Yep,
Caleb at
pretty
19.
Interesting. I don't think many players in this room would have done that. Maybe this is why Caleb made the top 8. These plays like this.
So Caleb will fetch himself down to 18 off Scalding Tarn, getting Tundra, and he'll probably make Sensei's Divining Top.
For sure. Now, if Josh Hendricks can follow this up with another discard spell, he'll be in a really, really good spot. But if not, Caleb Durward is looking at a turn 2 lock. It is a soft lock, especially against Josh Hendricks, who has a lot of 3-drops in his deck.
Yeah,
but it's a lock.
Still pretty strong for Caleb to be able to assemble that so early in the game.
Yeah.
And, you know, all right, so Josh, knowing there's got to be some good stuff in Caleb's hand, does he have another discard spell? If he does, he'll probably go for one.
Ooh, I see a Cabal Therapy.
Let's see a Hymn to Turah. No, you're right, it's Cabal Therapy. So this is, Deathrite Shaman in play. Now he's gonna have a chance to therapy away all the stuff.
This is gonna be brutal.
So I mean, I would name Counterbalance.
I think you have to here. I don't think there's any other name. Yeah.
And he gets it. And there's also an Enlightened Tutor in the hand. So really, really rough for Caleb. Remember that Enlightened Tutor can be used to put a counterbalance on top of the deck, and then basically draw it and play it on curve. I almost feel like he wants to take Enlightened Tutor here. Though Deathrite Shaman is really quite a powerful card, he would much rather wait to be able to even Mind Sensor next turn.
Pretty importantly, though, Caleb doesn't have double blue to cast any kind of top in hand, or rather any kind of counterbalance. He has a Dust Bowl, he has a Plains, and the Tundra that's in play.
Right. So the question for Josh is, how badly does he need to get rid of that Enlightened Tutor?
Right.
Deathrite Shaman is such a strong card right now.
Yeah, the Aven Mind Sensor actually a pretty big deal against that Enlightened Tutor. It does provide a shuffle effect for the top, but what it doesn't do is fetch him the 1 of that he needs, or the 2 of, or probably not the 4 of either. Only 2 counterbalances left in Caleb's deck right now.
Yeah, Josh is debating that whether or not to sack the Deathrite Shaman. He will choose not to. So upkeep, Caleb is going to top. He wants that second blue source, and he finds it. He has I believe it's Glacial Fortress. Yeah, 1 Glacial Fortress, and also there's a duel of some sort, or a fetch line. So he has Path. That's not particularly relevant right here.
Looks like
swords.
He'll draw the swords, and he'll leave that up.
Yep.
Now we'll see if Josh Hendricks has a land plus a flashback of Cabal Therapy. If so, that's a really strong play.
Well, what Hendricks, he has a bunch of different options available to him. He has a Dark Confidant, which he wants to get in play, but that will probably get a Swords to Plowshares from Caleb Durward. He'll go for Dark Confidant, which is very play. He doesn't actually know that Caleb has the Swords to Plowshares.
Right.
Passes back the turn. Caleb is going to, Swords the Bob. Yeah, would he only be able to, wishing a list that he could flashback, yeah,
Cobalt Therapy
in response. It doesn't work, it's a sorcery.
No, you would have to play some Hypersonic Dragons to do that.
Right. And now Caleb, remember, all he has I believe he has a Dust Bowl or a Wasteland?
Dust Bowl.
He's not actually playing Wasteland, just playing Dust Bowl. So he has Dust Bowl, Enlightened Tutor. Enlightened Tutor, remember, can find any half of his combo. It is a 1-of in his deck. It also can find Counterbalance. And at this point, isn't a particularly good time for Josh Hendricks to be able to flashback that therapy. It's going to be a pretty dead card this match.
Yeah, that therapy now, all of Caleb's good cards are going to be on the top of the deck until he needs them. And even if they're not, even if he does put them into his hand, they'll be instant. So he could always respond to the flashback.
Right. The interesting thing is that Caleb may not know that Hendricks is sitting on a mind sensor. It'll take a lot of wherewithal for him to, while Hendricks is tapped out, to go ahead and enlighten Tutor.
Yeah, it was. I think Caleb actually thought about it. He tanked during his turn for a little bit, but
Caleb's shock, so Deathray Shaman shocks puts Caleb down to 16. And Liliana of the Veil now available for Josh Hendricks.
Interesting. Now this is a kind of a tough spot for Josh Hendricks.
I think that doesn't seem to be. Yeah, well, you're right. Go ahead.
Well, because he has the mind sensor, Caleb has a fetch land and an Enlightened Tutor right now.
Yes, you'd really love to see Caleb. He's gonna say go. Caleb is going to end step top.
Yep.
And he sees Terminus, Rest in Peace, and that Glacial Fortress. None of the cards he may want Terminus right now.
Yeah, Terminus, just to clear out the 1/2 Deathrite Shaman, that's okay. I'm not sure if that's as good as assembling the combo, though.
It's probably fine. We'll see whether or not Caleb decides he's gonna fetch, and we may see a response here. I'm surprised we didn't see a response. There was nothing on the, so he only could have searched for the top 4 cards of his library. He may have been able to inadvertently Stone Rain Caleb there.
Yeah, it looks like he's holding out, trying to catch an Enlightened Tutor from Caleb. And, it's a cagey play. It could backfire on him if Caleb finds 3 good cards.
Helm of Obedience, Caracas.
Yeah.
That's not really... Well, that's an interesting play. Caleb will probably take that, as that will be the other half of his combo. To be fair, though, Caleb didn't want the Rest in Peace. It's probably unlikely that he would then want the Helm of Obedience.
Yeah, also having the 1 Helm of Obedience in hand is really risky as well because of Josh Hendricks' discard. Because if the 1 Helm gets discarded, that means Caleb can only win with 1 Entreat or 3 Jace.
Yeah, he wants to keep those cards on top until he needs them. This is another weekend. You may see Caleb go for Enlightened Tutor here. If he does, that's going to be pretty bad.
Yeah, this is really interesting. I actually like Josh's line of not using the Mind Sensor. He's holding it. He's really catching Caleb off guard. He didn't even think about that fetch, and he didn't even respond to it. He let Caleb search.
Right, you definitely, when you're on your main phase, you have to decide that line right away.
Exactly. Thinking about whether to attack with your Deathrite Shaman, but really you're thinking about whether or not you're going to Mind Sensor the fetch land.
Yeah, so
and here it comes.
Here comes the Enlightened Tutor, and now Hendricks. He's going to aim and Mind Sensor him in the top of the deck.
And Caleb in shock right now that just happened to him.
So there is going to be a Helm of Obedience in there.
Yep. So he will be able to find that if he wants to.
And that's the one he's going to have to find.
Yep. He might just fail to find here. I don't know if he wants a Helm of Obedience.
Well, the worst part is that then if he draws it, he's going to have to top it. He's going to find it. He'll top during upkeep because he really does not want to get. He doesn't want to get Cabal Therapy and get. Right. Or he may simply cast Helm.
Yeah,
that way, casting Helm's pretty decent because then he has any live draw, just Rest in Peace kill you.
Exactly. Now, Josh Hendricks only 2 ways to kill the artifact once it's in play. 2 Oblivion Ring.
Yep.
So Helm on top. Caleb will probably be topping upkeep. There it is.
Yep. He doesn't want. Yeah, he doesn't want it to be able to be.
Oh, and there's the Terminus.
A Detention Sphere and a Terminus. Great top of deck for Caleb.
So Caleb had 2 fresh cards available. Hit a Terminus.
Yep, he's going to Terminus here. Deathrite Shaman will certainly eat something. Oh no, sorry, there's no land available, so for Deathrite Shaman to do that, both cards just ship to the bottom of the deck.
So great turn for Caleb. Hits the Wrath when he needs it. We'll see what Josh can follow up with.
No cards in hand for Caleb. So this Liliana, a little bit weaker. There's also a Dark Confidant in play. That's certainly going to be the play from Josh Hendricks.
Right, get that in play. Make Caleb have the removal spell.
Pass the turn. All right, Caleb's going to top. Sees land, Detention Sphere, and Helm of Obedience. You have to think that it's going to be Detention Sphere.
Yeah. Right now, Caleb, happy to 1-for-1, just trying to buy some time till he can find his Rest in Peace. Josh gives him the thumbs up.
Another land from Josh Hendricks.
Great draw from Josh.
Not
Well,
the land?
otherwise he'd have to discard it to the Liliana, so it's definitely better than a spell he couldn't cast.
Sure. Both players, he'll plus the Liliana though, not too much effect. Hendricks kind of down right now, and counterbalance found by Caleb Durward.
So Caleb, we saw him win a Star City Legacy Open 4 or 5 weeks ago in Cincinnati.
Yeah, with Tezzeret. He's looking to make it too.
Yeah.
He'll cast Helm of Obedience now that he knows that the way is safe.
Confidant
And a
from
third Dark Confidant from Josh Hendricks.
Great draw from
+5,
Hendricks.
both players discard. He'll pass the turn.
And now Caleb will top. He'll try and find a Rest in Peace. Looks like Counterbalance, Force of Will, Sensei's top.
Okay.
For Caleb.
Well, probably set up Sensei Giant Head. The biggest thing is that when Liliana gets to ultimate, that's going to be a little rough for Caleb. He can either take half of, he can split Caleb's permanents into 2 pretty nasty piles.
Yeah, he has a lot of options with the Liliana split, and also
the detention sphere.
Yeah, the thing about the Liliana too is that she'll probably go up to 7 before she ultimates.
I mean, I would think so. Yeah. Bob shows Marsh Flats, and Josh Hendricks draws another card. This is a second Liliana, not exactly an ideal draw here.
So now he doesn't even have to put that Liliana up to 6.
Second one, he'll discard probably the Marsh Flats.
Yep.
Yep, so then because that would let him ultimate Liliana a turn earlier. And he'll attack. Caleb put Durward down to 13.
Hussar Patrol. Oh, and in response, uses the helm, tries to hit a creature.
No
No
creature.
dice.
So remember, okay, Helm of Obedience actually has another mode other than tapping to kill the other player.
Yeah, let's get that helm up there on the side.
So
there.
what Helm of Obedience is X, you reveal X cards off the top of their deck, and you reveal either if you get a creature card, then they put that creature into play under your control, as if it were just cast. So you basically it's like a very delayed bribery. You get to look at X cards. So yeah, Josh Hendricks probably not aware that that card has a mode other than killing with Rest in Peace. You know, possibly just suicided his Bob into that.
Right.
Now, if it does find a creature, the Helm of Obedience is sacrificed.
Now, the interesting part of the helm is that it can't mill yourself, so you can't clear the top of your deck for a Sensei's top, for a fresh top.
Right.
I have to imagine the ultimate's coming.
Yep, you would do it now, and then proceed to cast a second Liliana. He also has an even Mind Sensor. That's not going to be a pretty big one. All right, Liliana will ultimate. So now he's going to get to have some fun to play with. Caleb, in response, is going to float 3 mana. He's going to draw off top.
I think he's stacking his top so that he gets to rearrange
Spinning
the
it and
top
burying
3.
it?
Exactly.
Okay, sure. So he puts it on top,
Oh, maybe not.
draws a card. No, I think he's floating 3. He's floating 3 mana, just so in case his lands go away, he'll have some options.
Right. Maybe also just to trick Hendricks into thinking he does have some instance.
Yeah,
in
we
his
have
hand.
Detention Sphere and Helm separated, and probably the lands split between these 2 piles. He would probably, 2 lands with Helm, 3 lands with Detention Sphere is probably the correct play. What he may want to do is look at the colors of lands. This is not particularly relevant. Caleb's not dust bowling anytime soon.
Yeah, wow. I have to say, I don't like that split. I think he immediately puts this helm into the graveyard. Although
Maybe
he's
not. No,
thinking
Caleb's
about
thinking,
it.
yeah. I mean,
He
the
can't
thing
just
is,
have...
with the other one, if he has a Terminus, if he can Miracle a Terminus, then I think the play is to keep the Helm.
He doesn't have white mana, though. That's the problem.
Oh, there's no white mana with it. Interesting, and he's going to
Wow.
stack all of that pile.
I'm really surprised he did that. Caleb, really all in on this helm plan.
Yep. He has force. Yeah, that. I don't know. He's gonna Helm Josh for 3. A Thoughtseize, his own Dark Confidant,
And Josh Hendricks
and then
revealed the
they're
top
going
card.
to talk about what happened. He accidentally show the 3rd card.
They'll probably just shuffle it up. Josh Hendricks knows a couple cards on the bottom of his deck, I think. So,
Yeah, no. I think what we'll see is Liliana Edict.
right.
You know, he can't actually let Caleb have a Dark Confidant. That is definitely not okay.
Suicide.
Well, I mean, it'll trade with one of his own. It'll draw Caleb into a combo. You know, it's not what you can do here.
Exactly. And, you know, I really have to question the pile that Caleb chose. I'm not sure what he's going to do with a Force of Will, a Counterbalance, and an Island, a Dust Bowl.
Well, now he doesn't even have the Helm of Obedience. He's not trying to draw into the combo.
Right.
That is a little. It is
If there was
unexpected.
white mana with the helm, I think I would have liked it.
Right. So pre-combat, we're going to see Liliana Edict.
Okay, so Force of Will from Caleb.
Liliana. So now Caleb, no cards, just that Bob that he stole. And swing with Dark Confidant puts Caleb down to 11. And there's Mind Sensor and I believe Lingering Souls in Josh Hendricks' hand. He has no other place. So Caleb will get a Dark Confidant himself. He'll find Divining Top. And so now he has top Bob in play.
Not too bad.
So, yeah. Probably won't take any damage off the Dark Confidant. But remember, Josh Hendricks can be drawing plenty more cards than Caleb is. Caleb knows, because Josh Hendricks' deck does have creature removal in it. We're in the pre-board game. It only stands to reason that Josh will draw a removal spell in 1 or 2 turns here.
Exactly. Also, Josh Hendricks has the Oblivion Ring in his hand, so if he has to, he can use it on that Confidant.
That's an Oblivion Ring, not a Lingering
I think so.
Okay. All right. So Caleb, restacked on top, plays his land, passes the turn. Hendricks going to get 3 cards here. No real worry about killing himself. Liliana, he goes to 13.
And Hendricks would love a land here.
Lingering Souls to 10. All right,
Souls.
that's about as much damage as he can take.
Yep.
So.
Hendricks sitting with 4 3-drops in his hand.
Love
right
to
now.
get a land, and that is not a land. It's a Batter Skull. Well, I guess he picked the right one to not flip, as odd as that is. Yeah, not the best.
No,
I think Hendricks can very safely here. I don't think Edicting is the right move. I think he can very safely swing both Dark Confidants.
Right, Caleb can't really trade, and Josh kind of wants his Confidants off the board.
Just gonna Liliana Edict. All right. What I don't like about this is that it doesn't kill on the next turn.
Right, Caleb's at 9.
I would have, I guess the swing doesn't really either. So, Caleb dropping to 5, and no more plays by Hendricks. He didn't get the land. All right, so he's gonna Brainstorm.
And now Caleb really kind of all in on these Bobs of Josh Hendricks.
Yeah, Josh, he has to hope that Hendricks is going to kill himself off his own Dark Confidants. I think that's another reason I liked the trading play by Hendricks, or the attempted trade.
Right, you at least
attempted
offer
trade.
it.
All right, and he has Rest in Peace, but there's no Helm of Obedience left in his deck. I mean, I don't know what he's looking for. He can't Energy Field here either.
He can't even use Arid Mesa because he's at 5 life, not 6.
Right, Arid Mesa is not a land here. Caleb's in a pretty tough place.
Yeah, he has to hope that Josh Hendricks flips a succession of high drops just like he did last turn. And Hendricks can always O-ring his Bob if he gets too low.
Right. And Swords to Plowshares. It's an excellent show by Dark
That one
Confidant.
should lock it up.
Stoneforge Mystic. So Josh Hendricks drops to 7, but draws an Arid Mesa. I don't think we're gonna. I think we're gonna see maybe a Bob gets Swords or something.
Right. End of turn. Swords to the Bob. Caleb Durward will be at 1 life. So not much that he can do with blue colorless and an Arid Mesa at 1 life.
Right, Caleb drops to 1. Liliana should make a discard, and Josh should be prepared to play maybe Mind Sensor, Swords, on end step, something like that.
As long as he passes with at least 4 mana up, he'll be fine. Maybe like discard Lingering Souls, flashback Lingering Souls just in case something crazy happens.
All these plays are great. Yeah. So Liliana will tick up. He'll discard Lingering Souls. Caleb has no cards, does not have to discard, and he'll pass the turn. That's certainly correct. Caleb with his last draw here, it is Rest in Peace. Well, it's good against that freshly discarded Lingering Souls.
There we go. Some
Spins
value.
top.
Some value before you scoop.
Swords to Plowshares, since he's Divining Top, Brainstorm. I'm not sure what he's... Okay, he's trading this for the Brainstorm. He's going to look 1 card deeper, but I'm not sure what he's finding.
No, this doesn't do a heck of a lot here. Caleb just playing with the top, playing with his Brainstorm.
Play another Divining Top, and he'll pass the turn. He needs to show that Josh isn't going to kill himself.
Yeah, it's definitely worth seeing. I mean,
remember, there is a Swords on top of Caleb's deck. So yeah, I think it's Mind Sensor Swords here.
Yeah, for sure.
Ooh, and he's going to get a chance. Okay, Caleb could win here. And now he's not going to win.
Wow, that is a really risky play by Josh.
It is a little on the riskier side. Yeah, you probably just want to put the extra guy in play. But it's very with the Batter Skull in his hand, it's actually impossible for him to kill himself.
Okay. So, no, he has Hero Blade Holds in the deck.
He has 2 Hero Blade Holds. He could have flipped them both.
Wow, so risky by Josh Hendricks.
I mean,
yeah,
risky, not.
He could also Swords his own.
Yes,
Bob
after he sees the first Bob, he could Swords it. But then the second one will still be on the stack. He still could. If there's 2 Hero Blade Holds, then he could actually lose. Okay,
Yeah, sure.
Obviously, this is only kind of real life, but.
So, welcome back. I'm Zach Hall.
Matthias Hunt.
And we're coming to you live from Star City Open Series in St. Louis. And we have some trivia for you.
All right, yeah. So those of those of you who are not familiar, but most of you I believe are, we run a trivia question during the middle of the top 8, top 4, and finals match.
Exactly, giving away successively more Star City Premium each time.
All right.
This being the quarterfinals, it's 3 months. Semis will be 6. Finals will be a year of Star City Premium.
Okay, so why don't we go?
Yeah, so the trivia question. Return to Ravnica has really brought a lot of life to the Legacy metagame. A lot of new cards being played today. A lot of new cards being played every week. We're looking for one. We're not looking for any particular Return to Ravnica card. We're looking for one Return to Ravnica card in the top 8. It can't be a reprint, it has to be a brand new card. So name any Return to Ravnica card. There are about 3 or 4.
Yeah, actually both the decks we're currently featuring in this match have one of them as a centerpiece of their deck.
Exactly. So if you don't know what it is, check out StarCityGames.com, look at the top 8 decks, look at deck techs.
Right.
It's pretty easy to find. But the one thing, you have to include the hashtag SCG Premium. The only rule. You can tweet at me or Matthias. You can tweet at SCG Live over there.
You don't have to. The only thing you need is SCG Premium.
Exactly. So include your answer, SCG Premium. Make sure it's in before the quarters are done.
All right. So we're going to bring you back into the match. So right now, Caleb Durward down 1 game against Josh Hendricks. Josh Hendricks, remember, still undefeated this tournament with his Deathrite Ale deck. Caleb should probably, as most control decks, become more of a favorite post board. He will certainly be boarding in cards like Supreme Verdict, Extra Path to Exile, maybe perhaps an extra Helm of Obedience, though I'm not positive about that one.
Yeah, I don't know enough about the Rest in Peace Helm of Obedience combo to really safely say when he wants it and when he doesn't. I imagine we'll see Aura of Silence. That's a pretty good answer to things like Oblivion Ring and any kind of pesky artifacts that Josh might have, of which he has more in the sideboard. So probably expect the Aura of Silence. Jace Beleren is a pretty good way to fight Liliana of the Veil, though I'm not sure it's what he wants to be doing in the matchup. What do you think?
Well, Jace Beleren is probably a fine card in this matchup. The problem is that it can be attacked. Caleb can't really defend against it. My guess is that Jace Beleren is more for bug-style decks, or maybe even the mirror deck matchups where really creatures just don't get to attack. The thing about Josh Hendricks' deck is he has enough ways to attack with creatures that Jace Beleren might be... he might actually die.
Right.
Which isn't entirely what Caleb would want.
Yeah, exactly. Caleb doesn't really like to spend blue 1 on a Renewed Faith. Not what he wants to be doing, but that said, if Josh Hendricks gets a discard heavy draw, Jace Beleren could really shine. It could concentrate, it could inspiration, it could do even more than that too. So it'll be interesting to see how Caleb sideboards here. He doesn't have that many cards that are bad against Josh. That's the thing. He might be able to side out the energy fields. I think after board, how many ways does Josh Hendricks have to kill an energy field?
Well, after board, the ways to kill an energy field, he always discards spells.
With a Rest in Peace in play.
With a Rest in Peace in play. Well, how would he be able to kill an energy field with a Rest? Oh, okay. Oh, you mean like enchantment removal?
Exactly. He has 2 Oblivion Ring.
Yes, he does have 2 Oblivion Ring in the main deck. He knows the other deck. It's funny, he has his own Rest in Peace in the sideboard. Certainly not coming in. That would be it. Just the 2 Oblivion Rings. He can also board in an Enlightened Tutor to go get Oblivion Ring. Okay. Something which I think he might do.
Yeah, I think that's smart. You can always go get something like a Sensei's Divining top 2 if you're in kind of a stalled land-heavy board. Maybe even a Sword of War and Peace gives pro white. That's not too bad against Caleb Durward.
Right.
Relic of Progenitus, also not exactly what he wants to be doing.
So yeah, there's a lot of cards in here. Out of a sideboard that we're going to see, I think we may see Enlightened Tutor. We certainly will see Pithing Needle. Needling a top, needling a Jace. There is Jace in, there are 3 Jace Mind Sculptor in Durward's deck. Those are cards, I think Pithing Needle is one of its good situations.
Yeah. Helm of Obedience, even if he's about to get comboed
out. Absolutely.
There are a lot of good names. Pithing Needle, he probably wishes he had more Pithing Needles.
Right.
Generally not a card that's that impressive, but Pithing Needle against Caleb Durward's deck is very good.
I mean, for example, say you had an opening hand of 3 lands and 3 Pithing Needles against against Caleb's deck. I think it's possible that he would scoop to that.
That's really interesting, actually. Yeah.
If I threw down one on turn 1 and said Helm of Obedience, and I threw down one on another turn and I said Jace the Mind Sculptor, Sensei's Divining Top, now at that point you would have reduced Caleb's deck down to 1 Entreat the Angels. That'd be his entire deck.
That's pretty absurd.
So I mean, granted, those will all have to resolve, and that's a pretty terrible opening hand, but it actually might beat him. So he'd have to just it would be hard for him to win that game until he miracled and treated the Angels.
Right. I mean, one pithing needle for Josh Hendricks at the right time can be really good. I mean, if he knows his hand, if he cabal therapies him, he sees that Caleb is trying to set up for the Helm of Obedience kill, he puts a Rest in Peace into play. He has the Enlightened Tutor ready. You just put that down and you name Helm, and all of a sudden Caleb's plan is gone. So the Pithing Needle and the Enlightened Tutor will definitely come in, probably sort of War and Peace. Josh certainly has enough cards to take out.
Right.
So I have to imagine he'd start with 4 swords.
Yeah, I mean, it certainly is. Yeah, he may have some higher number of, 4 swords. So he has all these other cards which are, marginally better, which he may be playing. And then that's fair.
Right, there are a lot of sideboard tweaks that he can make because there are a lot of subpar cards in his deck against Caleb.
Yeah, specifically, the Swords to Plowshares are the weak cards in this matchup for him. All the other ones are, I mean, Umezawa's Jite is pretty weak. Certainly the second Jite is terrible. The first one you may want to keep in just so that your Stoneforge Mystics always have something to find.
Right.
But it means it's defensible to cut them also.
Yeah, it's not a bad draw on its own, too. I mean, that makes one creature able to pressure Caleb, force a Terminus from Caleb, force a Detention Sphere.
Right.
So the first Jite, not bad. I agree with you, though. Second Jite, not good.
All right, so we actually have some fairly quick results coming in. In one of our feature matches, Kendall Guthrie, he's playing Rug Delver. He defeated William Bueller in one of our matches. That is Rug Delver defeating Reanimator 2-0. On the other side, Justin Uppel, once again, failing to make it out of the top 8. He is defeated 2-0 by Ben Robinson. So Justin Uppel's blue-white Stoneforge deck, defeated by Ben Robinson, who's also playing Rug Delver. Unsurprisingly, the 2 Rug Delver players now both in top 4.
Yeah, just one of the most powerful decks in Legacy, one of the boogeymen of Legacy.
Yeah.
Really just shows why it's I don't know. I think it's the best deck in Legacy. Some people, especially this weekend, seem to not think so.
But I mean, that doesn't mean that you can't play anything else. It's no Delver. It's not like Delver and old standard. But I think it's the best deck. It is certainly the deck that I do not want to show up to a tournament with a bad Rug Delver matchup.
Exactly.
I think that is horrible.
That's about the only deck in Legacy where
that I feel
comfortable saying that. Exactly. That's the only deck that'll probably break 10% at any given Legacy tournament.
So unsurprisingly, Jonathan Thatch and Steven Schleppenhorst still in their first game. That is the High Tide versus Bant matchup, which means we can probably safely assume that game 1 is going to High Tide, but they're still playing it over in this match.
I'd say that's a safe assumption.
Right.
Usually when Bant wins, it wins pretty no
Right, it's like,
frills
we'll finish them, like, they're still on game 1, and be like, High Tide's winning, isn't it? Oh, of course it is, it's still taking the turn. So, Josh Hendricks up a game here. So with all this Rug Delver currently in the top 4, what decks are positioned well here, We have a High Tide left, Bant, and then Deathrite Ale, and Miracles. Which of those decks would you say are up to the task of fighting through a field of Delver?
Well, now tell me if I'm mistaken here. You're the High Tide player. High Tide does not have a great Rug Delver matchup.
No, it can win it, absolutely, but
it's not favored.
I would say probably not.
Probably close to 50-50.
Probably even on the wrong side of it. It's a matchup I'm okay with. It's not so, but like I certainly had to tweak my High Tide builds to a point where I felt like it was okay against Rug Delver. I was playing repeals in the main for Delver of Secrets, things like that. All right, and game 1 actually went to Steven Schleppenhorst, so Bant is up a game there.
Wow, maybe Thatch fizzled.
Yeah, could have happened. I think the thing about Bant is I feel like Bant's going to have a really tough time with Rug. It's essentially a similar style deck, but it's just not as efficient.
Right, it doesn't have all those blue cantrips that really make Rug what it is, no ponders.
Right.
But to answer your question, I think Josh Hendricks has the best chance in this top 8.
Yeah. Hendricks and Caleb, I think, both could make it through a field of Delver. Hendricks hasn't lost yet, and I would give him the edge because of that.
Yeah, I think whoever wins this match is favored to win the tournament.
Yeah. Ben Robinson is our other undefeated player. He's waiting in the wings for the winner of this match. Going back to this match, we have a turn 1 Sensei Divining Top from Caleb Durward, followed by a turn 1 Thoughtseize from Josh Hendricks. So we see Jace, other Jace, Land, Brainstorm, and Swords to Plowshares. The real question is whether or not how much pressure Hendricks has. If he has a lot more discard, I think the pick is Brainstorm.
Right. I think the pick is Brainstorm almost no matter what his hand is. If he has a him, the pick is certainly Brainstorm. If he has another discard spell,
he has a Tidehollow Scholar, which is kind of an awkward spell there in the sense that it quote unquote has to take the swords.
Right. I don't like that. I would have preferred Thoughtseize take Brainstorm, Sculler take Swords.
Right. Well, I mean, the Scholar then would get swords, but that's probably okay.
Well, if the Sculler gets Swords with the trigger on the stack, that means that
The problem here
Josh
is that
gets
when
another card.
Josh tries for a Scholar, all the good cards are going to be gone.
Exactly. I think Josh had to take the Thoughtseize there, because Caleb can't profitably Swords the Sculler because the Least Play trigger would resolve first then.
Right. I mean, well, if the Scholar takes the swords, the big problem is then he's color turn 2, and then Caleb would untap and make Jace Bellerin +2.
Yeah.
And then
And that's not so bad. Then hopefully Josh Hendricks hits a discard spell of some sort.
right. I mean, maybe he can even keep that Jace alive for a while, which means the other Jace doesn't come down.
Yeah, exactly.
I like the idea. Yeah, I think Brainstorm would have been my pick there.
So Josh Hendricks' deck being shuffled.
He is winding up. It looks like, or maybe he also has a Dark Confidant here. Maybe he was okay. So if we consider in the context that he was clearing the way for Dark Confidant, I like that play much more.
All right, I see his line. I don't necessarily think it's right, but I do see his line. See, this is why this isn't that good, because
The card's
here's
just
a
amazing.
Terminus.
Yeah,
Here's a Terminus from
yeah,
Caleb.
I mean, Brainstorm is incredibly good. To be fair, though, the top would have set up the Terminus as well. So
That's true.
maybe this is an unavoidable situation. I really think after watching these matchups, despite the fact he's down a game, I'm continually impressed at Miracles right now as a deck. It seems very unfair as a deck.
Terminus is really, really good.
Yeah.
So Bob to the bottom, and Josh gets the turn.
All right, and he's gonna have a chance to attempt to resolve a Liliana. That's gonna be great against these Jaces.
Yeah, and that Oblivion Ring in Josh Hendricks' hand also very key, because you can Oblivion Ring any follow-up Jace that Caleb might have. It's a hard answer to Mind Sculptor.
Like, the bigger problem is that top just hides, like, the Miracles deck so especially now that it has a combo in it, it's just so resilient. Instead he's going to go for Tide Hollow Sculler.
Yep, wants to prevent Big Jace from coming into play here, I think.
Right, okay. Well, there's Aura of Silence. Aura of Silence is a card that makes all artifacts and enchantments cost 2 more, and you can also sacrifice it to disenchant. So it's like a white Seal of Primordium.
Exactly. Now it makes all
Seal of Cleansing, I suppose,
their
would be the original
opponents
one.
take 2. Or all their opponents. Yeah.
Yes, sorry, your opponent's ones cost more. So he's going to Sculler away the Aura of Silence.
As he kind of, I was going to say as he kind of has to do, but I don't think that's necessarily
Well,
true.
no. The problem is if Caleb gets his 4th land here, Caleb can play Big Jace and force a discard.
Right.
Unless Hendricks has drawn like another Thoughtseize, in which case all bets are off.
That would be pretty reasonable. If he doesn't have a Thoughtseize, I'm not sure I like the taking of Aura of Silence, because
I don't want the Mind Sculptor to resolve. That's the problem.
The Aura of Silence kills the Sculler, but that buys an entire turn.
Yeah, he's going to cast Divine Top. Yeah, I mean, the problem is Caleb's going to find a land here and instead play Big Jace and bounce Sculler, and that's miserable. Remember, Jace is a 1-card combo in Legacy. You can't actually let your opponent have it.
You can't actually lose if you untap with Jace. That's almost a rule of Legacy.
Yeah, he's going to take the land, and I think that's exactly what Caleb's doing.
Yeah, so
So somewhat of a preventable fate here for Josh, but he's going to have to find a way to deal now with this Jace. The Aura of Silence is going to go back to Caleb's hand. Caleb, this turn, won't be able to really profitably you won't be able to brainstorm this turn, but the problem is next turn he brainstorms, finds a removal spell, removes Tide Hollow Sculler, and then guess what? He has a Jace.
Exactly. And Josh Hendricks' deck, it's a pretty fair deck. It doesn't really operate much at instant speed. The only flash creatures he has are the 2 birds.
Right. The 2 Avens.
Aven Mind Sensor.
So yeah, Josh, it's the 1-card combo coming in there.
Yeah, I see. If I were Josh, I would have just cast the Liliana of the Veil last turn, untap, Oblivion Ring the Big Jace.
When I got called on Twitter, when I said a triple Pithing Needle would beat Caleb's deck, I was forgotten that Caleb runs a Detention Sphere. Okay, so his deck now has 2 outs to triple Pithing Needle.
Knowing Caleb Durward, the Detention Sphere would be
in his hand already when you play
we know that.
Yeah, alright, so Sculler's gonna come back down and take Aura of Silence again. This is the issue though. If Jace can find a removal spell, I really kind of wish instead that Josh had found time to really stick Liliana on the board. Okay, so now Sculler's gonna get another Jace. That's fine. That's the bad Jace anyway.
Yeah, I really think that.
I mean, if
like
Caleb can find a Terminus.
Yeah, Terminus is game over.
So Caleb has to decide if he wants to try to top on up. He's gonna top on upkeep here, or whether it's more profitable to. I think he does top on upkeep. If he finds a Terminus here, he can't lose the game.
Right.
Brainstorm, Swords to Plowshares, and a land. So he can have all of these cards if he wants. So I was bringing from his helm. Is that? Yeah, it's a land or a helm. It's the second card
Yeah,
down.
I think it's a helm, but the swords is really what he wants here. Helm, definitely not. Jace might just go bounce. Swords might remove the Sculler.
Bounce and swords. That's sure is possible. Alright, he's going to draw for turn. Jace, yep. I think he agrees. He's going to bounce for Aura of Silence, and then he's just going to cast Aura of Silence.
Yeah, this was completely avoidable by Josh Hendricks.
So the thing is, Josh now will take 4 mana to recast Tide Hollow Scholar.
Right.
And there's no reason to recast it. He's...
No, the Tide Hollow Scholar really only good if it gets the big Jace.
He's going to top. He finds Lingering... Is Swords to Plowshares or Lingering Souls? I think we would...
Souls,
really
I believe.
Souls is actually not a bad draw here.
No, it's definitely
Yeah.
not. The Souls
You
can
can-
put a lot of pressure on that
Mhm.
Jace.
I mean, unfortunately, there's a replacement Jace, but...
Yeah, that's not a big deal, Jace, though.
Well, the difficult part is, like, you fight so hard to get rid of that Jace, but once he's brainstormed 3 times, the problem is that he probably has another Jace by that point.
Right.
Yep, Aura of Silence on the attacks will destroy Tide Hollow Scholar.
Josh Hendricks creatures, though, preventing Caleb from brainstorming yet.
Now, Hendricks has to decide whether he prefers to make Lingering Souls or whether to Scholar back down and get that Jace.
I don't think it's Sculler.
He also has Oblivion Ring for Mind Sculptor, which may just almost at this point feels like it's the right play. You can kill a Jace. I know it just seems awfully greedy to not want to just kill Jace.
It really does. At this point, though, Josh
Brainstorm
Hendricks...
is so good.
Yeah, Caleb already has top, though.
Okay, so maybe if you can say Liliana plus it discard Lingering Souls, that to me seems terrible because Jace's brainstorming return. Liliana doesn't actually compete with that.
Right. I think, I don't know, I think it might just be Lingering Souls here. Caleb didn't have the Terminus last turn. He'd have to find it for this turn.
Well, he has a Swords right now, which is also very strong.
Yeah, Jace can easily go +1. Sword's a token. Jace is now netting loyalty.
Or 0. Brains. I mean, it's probably just 0.
Probably, yeah.
Alright, nice. He's going to go for Liliana. So what Josh Hendricks is going to try to do is try to grind down Caleb's hand. What this will do is Caleb has a very poor ability to put pressure on the board. So he's going to try to start... Actually, here's a good plan. He's going to try to quickly run Liliana up to 6, hoping that next turn the Oblivion Ring will still be good.
Right.
And this way he gets Liliana up to 6 faster. He's able to somewhat maybe only afford Jace one more Brainstorm, one more free card. I know, yeah, just one more. But yeah, the Liliana, he wants some sort of way to actually start closing the deal, and I think that's what he's doing right here.
Yeah. And unfortunately for Josh Hendricks, Caleb finds a Vendilion click on the top of his deck. Looks like he's debating between that and the Swords to Plowshares. But I imagine it has to be the Vendilion.
Yeah, the Vendilion click's gonna be pretty strong here. It'll kind of throw a wrench in Josh's plan of getting rid of Jace, Like I said, Josh Hendricks will have to tell himself, I had a turn where I could have killed Jace. Sometimes you don't get many shots to just straight up cast a kill spell at him, and this is one of them. Caleb's going to use Jace to scry, not to Fate Seal.
Yep.
Already knows the card.
Helm of Obedience to the bottom of his deck. That's not his plan this game.
Nope, Jace just digging deeper. I think where I'd ask his plan is, I think his plan is to find another Jace the Mind Sculptor, to find an insurance Jace.
Exactly. Find a Jace, find a way to deal with that Liliana of the Veil in case the Vendilion click doesn't work, which is perfectly reasonable. Now, I don't know Josh Hendricks' top card, but I think he does.
Yeah, he did top last turn, so he knows his top card. It's very likely that his best card is the one he already has.
Right. Here,
So, Dark Confidant is pretty strong. And he goes back to think about it. Maybe he wants to O-Ring.
boy, I mean, it's really tough to leave that Mind Sculptor there on 3 when your plan is Liliana.
The big problem is he can't discard any cards. So Brainstorm discarded by Caleb, and yeah, Tide Hollow Scholar, that is the correct discard by Hendricks.
And here we go. A little late to the party. Here's the O-Ring.
And I think that Caleb messed it up here a little bit. The problem is this Jace never got to Brainstorm.
Not once.
And
It got some marginal advantage. It cost Josh a lot of mana. It Fate Sealed Caleb once.
Caleb chose not to V-click during upkeep because he didn't want Liliana to be able to edict away the Vendilion.
Right. I think that's the right play.
Okay. But I mean, the same part now, he just only lost his Jace. He kind of lost his lifeline there.
Yeah, at the same time, though, if I'm Caleb Durward, I'm thinking there's no way Josh has a way to deal with Jace because he would have. And he didn't top, so I don't know. I think I make the same play as Caleb there.
So Caleb, when you use a trick to put away his own Swords to Plowshares to redrawing top, I think he may regret that play.
Yeah.
The last card in
Especially
Hendricks'
his
hand
bottom,
is Dark Confidant.
So here's the top. Top will spin. Supreme Verdict, Brainstorm.
Supreme Verdict, Fetch Land, Brainstorm. That's about as good as you can hope for.
Those are 3 pretty good cards, short of another Jace. That's exactly what he wants.
What's nice here is that the numbers add up just right for Vendilion Click to answer Liliana.
Right.
And he wisely chooses the land. He doesn't want any reason to plus the Liliana.
No, definitely not. Because if Josh hits a discard spell,
or another Liliana,
another
Stoneforge.
So Josh Hendricks finding all the gas on top of his deck. These 2 tops are working hard this match, finding the optimal spell every turn. And you know, it always amazes me that a card as mana intensive as top is good in Legacy. But
well, I mean,
really is.
Between top and fetch lands, top is extraordinarily good with fetch lands.
Yes, it is.
It's just the truth of it. So he's going to Edict away the Vendilion Click. There's no cards in Caleb's hand. He's going to make Liliana here, but he doesn't want to plus it. That's awful. I would have just played Bob.
Yeah, I think he wants to get the threat on the board before Caleb has a way to discard
Don't
it.
discard your own Bob. That's silly.
Yeah.
The counters aren't worth, loyalty's not worth that much.
It's definitely a go for Josh Hendricks. 1 loyalty, probably not going to be the difference.
He does have to, all right, so we see Brainstorm and another fetch land, Supreme Verdict.
Yep, so
Caleb currently likes the cards in his hand, so the cards on top of his deck. So part of him may, the problem is, like, any card he draws instantly has to be used. So
right.
he doesn't like any of those cards. Interesting to me that he's not looking for that the Brainstorm is something he doesn't want.
Yeah, I was a little surprised about that too. I figured he would draw the Brainstorm before using his fetch, but he wants all his mana available. He wants to be able to, say, entreat the Angels if it's on top.
I think he's trying to search for probably an entreat the Angels or a counterbalance. He wants to somehow have a way to lock the game. The problem is, like, resolving with Liliana was such a great card against Caleb in this matchup.
Yeah, it's just borderline unbeatable for Caleb. It's almost always going to ultimate. I mean, look, he's topping into counters. He's topping into wraths. These just don't do it against Josh Hendricks.
No, it's Liliana of the Veil that's really the problem here. So yeah, when he's trying to draw, he's probably trying to find. He'd like to find 2 just the combo pieces. Take a combo piece and slam it.
Right.
Helm Slam, shuffle, rest in peace, slam it.
The top of Caleb's deck right now, Terminus, Counterspell Land. So really just
not much. And here's where Hendricks is really going to have a great time. He's drawn. He's going to go for either Stoneforge Mystic or Dark Confidant. It'll force Caleb to Terminus, but it won't be a good. That's not a good turn for Caleb if that's what he's doing.
No, it looks like Josh is just going to draw a land, so he has a bad spell to discard to the Liliana. His turn this turn is
or no spell. He'll just play the land.
Yeah, that's probably smarter.
Yeah.
The land drop, a crucial phase of Magic.
Yeah, the thing is, it's a fetch land. He doesn't really want to flashback Lingering Souls. He wants to top more than he wants the Lingering Souls. One of the other things, he doesn't want to crack this fetch land.
Right. Yeah. He has the Stoneforge on top of his deck. That's great insurance.
Lingering Souls for 2 more spirits. This is going to force Caleb's hand. Caleb's going to have to Terminus.
Yep. No question about it. He can't let that Bob stay in play. Well, really, he can't let any of Josh's stay in play.
Yep.
He doesn't have much
quickly
choice.
Shifts the Terminus up to the top.
Yep.
And he's going to Terminus everything. Okay.
So another Bob to the bottom. And yeah, it'll be interesting to see if Josh shuffles away with the Zared Mesa to go find maybe a little better of a threat.
There's a little history behind the word Terminus. See, one of the nicknames of casting Terminus, you can tell people that you're sending them straight to Atlanta. See, historically, Atlanta, when it had the nickname of Terminus. I looked this up because it was at the end of a certain railroad line, so that used to be its nickname. So you can say when you're casting a Terminus, you can tell people that you're sending their creatures straight to Atlanta. It's a good,
I like it.
Fancy way to say it.
Straight to Atlantis?
Straight to, no, Atlanta, not Atlantis. Atlanta.
There should be a future shifted set that's set in the current United States. It could be Lord of Atlanta.
Lord of Atlanta.
What do you think?
Wonderful. He's going to counterspell the Stoneforge Mystic. He can't let that resolve either. So both players now fighting with the Divining Top in play. Who can draw better? Remember, Josh Hendricks has the Liliana. Interesting. These are actually both Caleb's decks being played right now. Is that what we're being told? Caleb borrowed both of these. So like he had the option of playing either of these at the Open today, and he opted for Miracles, now losing to Deathrite Ale.
You know, I don't blame Caleb Durward. The Miracles deck looks, or rather the Deathrite Ale deck looks awfully untested. 2s and 3s everywhere.
Right.
But at the same time, though, I'm not surprised to learn that it's a Caleb deck with all these 2s.
Sure. Caleb, not a big fan of 4-ofs in his decks.
No.
All right, Josh Hendricks cracks his fetch land. That's, it's always such a strong play with Sensei Divining top.
He'll get a fresh look at the top 3. He'll try and find a threat.
Yeah, the big question is how Josh Hendricks is going to choose to play this Liliana. He can use it as a triple Stone Rain eventually, or he can wait until Caleb sets up one half of his combo, and like other thing what Caleb is doing, Liliana can eat hands every turn, so basically force Caleb to either hit Entreat the Angels. He has to win before Caleb hits Entreat.
Right.
Or somehow draw one combo piece, crack top, draw other combo piece, play them both, go kill.
Yeah, that's going to be tough to do through a Liliana Ultimate. If I'm Josh Hendricks, I think that I get the Liliana up to 7. Caleb with no cards in hand right now. He needs a total of 7 mana to fully execute that combo, and that's pretty tough.
And Steven Schlepphorst has defeated Jonathan Thatch playing High Tide 2-0. So this is the last match still outstanding in the top 8. Steven Schlepphorst, if you remember, is the last seed in the tournament. He is 6 wins, 1 loss, 1 draw. His loss was to Justin Upple, who has now been defeated. So Schlepphorst, our Bant deck, he's going to try to be a hero and take down Rugg in one of the semifinals.
And yeah, I really didn't think that Bant would be able to beat High Tide, especially not 2-0.
Drawn Supreme Verdict. Nope, that one doesn't go on the bottom. That one hits the graveyard. It's just one of the many sweepers employed by Caleb Durward.
Really just playing 1-for-1 here while Josh Hendricks.
Jite and Chrome Mox, not real cards. Unfortunately, Hendricks with no fetch line, he's going to have to draw those for a while.
Yep. Jite, though, that'll be a nice threat in play that Caleb will have a tough time dealing with.
The same thing is happening to Caleb. Caleb's top, both these players, after numerous amounts of divining topping, the tops of the deck's becoming kind of weak.
Yeah. Now, if I'm Josh Hendricks, there's no way I ultimate here. Caleb clearly has nothing. He clearly doesn't even have a fetch land.
You certainly would wait 1 turn before doing it. A triple Stone Rain isn't even that good. Caleb, this game's going long. Caleb probably has lands on top of his deck, actually.
Yeah, exactly. So Hendricks, he has to play. Oh
man. Wow, and I don't like that play at all.
Yeah, I think this is going to be very bad for Josh Hendricks.
Well, yeah, I mean it's a triple Stone Rain, and if that's what you wanted to do with Liliana, 3 Stone Rains.
Yeah,
that's okay. But I think you can do more. It's as greedy as that sounds.
Yeah, me too. Proper split should probably be Plains, Tundra, but it's not going to matter too much here.
No. Caleb keeps everyone double Tundras in. All right, so now it's a much more even board state, I would say.
Yeah, and I would have liked to seen a main phase top there from Josh Hendricks, trying to hit a 2-drop.
Yep, and we'll see top back down for Caleb. He's a lot shorter on. Caleb is main phase topping. We see Brainstorm Counterspell. Yeah, Caleb plays fetch land. He's in the lead.
Exactly.
Wow, what a game! Really getting away from Josh Hendricks.
Yeah, I really just don't like the way he played that Liliana. There was no pressure there. And Caleb can't really do anything. Like, sure, if the Entreat the Angels is the 3rd card down, that's a whammy, and it doesn't look good. But really, keeping Liliana is the right play. And Josh just continues to draw nothing, and he really has to be topping during his main phase. If there's a creature 3 cards down, he's going to feel really silly. Or a discard spell or anything.
All right, Caleb fetches down to 16. You get a new, fresh top of his deck.
Yeah, that's exactly what he needed. He now has Counterspell. He now has Brainstorm.
Yeah, Josh Hendricks likely will not be able to get back into the game.
Caleb Durward firmly in the driver's seat here. His deck has been stripped of so many lands, and he now gets a fresh 3. Guaranteed, pretty much guaranteed to hit at least 1 action spell. Very unlikely that he hits 3 lands here. But we'll see. Caleb Durward could easily just combo Josh Hendricks out in the next couple of turns, too. He has Brainstorm. He has many combo pieces still left in his deck.
He doesn't need to. He just needs to maintain board control until he finds, an Entreat. There we go, and there's Entreat. Okay, and it's not, Entreating for 2 is probably not good enough. If I'm Caleb, I bury that Entreat until I find 2 more lands.
Yeah, that's about right.
What's the rush? I mean, I'll just take these counter spells. It's not like anything bad will happen while I sit here and do nothing for a while.
Exactly. He just needs to build up some land. Yeah, that's what he's doing.
Yeah. Just say go. And Caleb knows he has it too.
Yeah, and look, if that hero Blade Hold was cast last turn, then
Oh my, yeah, that would have been much stronger.
so he'll keep those. And I would love to see him top right now. Just try and hit a discard spell, ensure that the hero resolves. But
Yeah, I mean, nothing's. Yeah, I mean, the big thing is like, yeah, Liliana has now Caleb. Well, Caleb could still hide. He still would have the ability to hide counter spells on the top of his deck. You know, that the hero clearly not resolving. I guess Caleb's deciding whether he'd like to counterspell it or Detention Sphere. I think the answer is he wants to counterspell. He doesn't have 5 lands yet, so he'd like to do both.
Detention Sphere really his only answer to Liliana of the Veil, so I think.
All right, he's
Interesting. He looks like Caleb is going aggro here.
Yeah, he's going to entreat on end step. I don't know. I'm not sold on this. The problem is the hero Blade Hold can easily erase some of the stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know. That seemed a little premature, but maybe I just like the big finish of Hordes of Angels.
Yeah, I don't really see the urgency here. This gives Josh Hendricks an opening.
He's going to Detention Sphere the O-Ring and then
Oh,
Jason bounce.
I see. Okay, this makes sense now.
That's fine.
Caleb's line, I'm liking it a lot more now. Yeah, and Stoneforge Mystic, that could have been in play last turn.
And Josh Hendricks looking at the top of his deck, now down to 6 life. Not much he can do, and he scoops it up. They are going to game 3. Caleb Durward turns the tides there, defeats Josh Hendricks in the second game.
Yep. Josh Hendricks, though, will have the play for game 3. Not that seems to matter a heck of a lot in this long, grindy matchup.
Well, yeah, it can matter. Remember, that early Planeswalker helps Josh. The big thing is Caleb has so much removal, and not just removal, it's like a Divining Top in play helps his deck so much that Caleb can find all his removal. He creates all this virtual card advantage through amazing card selection, but Josh Hendricks has trouble sticking any threat on the table.
Exactly. Liliana is really his key to victory. So looking at Josh Hendricks' deck, one thing that would be pretty good against Caleb, although it doesn't really fit Josh Hendricks' color theme, would be a manland of some sort. Fortunately, Grim, not too many black-white manlands.
Black-white. I don't know if there are any black-white.
No, I don't think so.
No, you can...
Fault of the Archangel is about as close as you come.
Yeah.
That and Forbidden Watchtower spawning pool.
Yeah, that one lovely pair.
Yep.
You know, Orzova, Church of Deals.
Ooh.
Okay.
That's going deep.
Yeah,
right
you can
there.
slowly gonna steal life points from you. All right, going back to sideboard, does not look like either player's re-sideboarding too much.
No, both players have a really very cut and dry sideboard. Josh Hendricks only has about four-ish cards to bring in. Caleb Durward the same. So both players gonna keep it pretty similar. One card I'm surprised we didn't see from Caleb Durward at all that game was Spell Snare. With all the Bobs and Stoneforges in the deck, I think Spell Snare is very, very good against Josh. Especially on the draw. The problem about Spell Snare, though, is it doesn't really answer the cards that need answering. Caleb has so many ways to deal with a Confidant, a Stoneforge. The cards he doesn't have a way to deal with are the Lilianas.
Right. So yeah, and the big thing, what helps him mitigate Liliana is if he has a Resolve Sensei's Divining Top. That really helps him mitigate Liliana's effect.
Yeah, just like we saw that game. It looked like Josh Hendricks was almost in an unlosable position there, but the Sensei's Divining Top on Caleb's side, it made sure he hit every land drop. It made sure he never had to lose a spell to Liliana. While Josh Hendricks just did a heck of a lot of nothing. So there we see Caleb looking at his sideboard, looking at his main deck, just mulling it over. Doesn't want the last match, the potential last match of his tournament to come down to a missed sideboard.
Right. And I know Caleb, I know he likes his Rug Delver matchup here. We saw him defeat a Rug Delver matchup earlier today, I believe. You know, if he wins here, that's going to be his path through the rest of the top 4. And both these players will likely have to face either Rug and Bant or Rug and Rug.
Right.
So, you know, you want... Yeah, so we'll... both these decks have the ability to battle with Rug Delver, I would say. I think Caleb's better equipped to do it.
Yeah, I don't know. Josh Hendricks' deck is pretty interesting. He has Stoneforge Mystic to go fetch up the Batterskull, to go fetch up the GTA. He has Lingering Souls, which is very effective against Delver. A lot of his deck, though, is really kind of stinky. He has, like, Hero of Bladehold, even Mind Sensor. These aren't really cards you want to be playing against a deck full of dazes. And
well, first of all, they cost a lot of mana, and even Mind Sensor, like, when it resolves,
it trades with a Delver, yeah.
That's its best hope.
Right. If it doesn't trade with the Delver, it chump blocks a Tarmogoyf for attacks for a semi-meaningless 2.
Right.
2 Oblivion Ring, though, in the main for Josh Hendricks, so that's pretty good against Rug Delver.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so Caleb again re-sideboarding.
Just a single, it just looks like a single card.
Yep, a single change. Josh Hendricks already shuffled up and presented. Now, if this were a timed round, the judge might prod Caleb to finish up his sideboarding. You do a 3-minute window for that to sideboard and present, but this being an untimed top 8 round, it's a lot less likely that's going to happen.
So you have both players, the match, almost an hour going on in this match. All the other matches have been finished for a fair amount of time. So,
of all the matches that were going to take a while, this is the one. The Reanimator versus Rug, obviously going to be over
both
soon.
Rug decks going off to quick 2-0 wins. Both of them were done within 20 minutes.
Right, and that's often how Rug does it.
Right.
Within 20 minutes, it's winning. Within 40 minutes, outlook unclear.
Right.
It's pretty unlikely that a deck is able to beat Rug in 20 minutes, 2-0.
Unless it's the Rug Mirror. That can, not even really, but...
Maybe Charbelcher.
Charbelcher could probably... Oh,
Charbelcher is always the answer.
Yeah, it can beat or lose to anything really quickly.
Hey man, I played Charbelcher in a few Vintage tournaments, and that deck was fun.
Wow. It's quite the deck in Vintage.
Oh yeah, this was a number of years ago. This was probably 2006, 2007, when it was maybe, if not respectable, not as bad.
Right.
I didn't understand how to play Brainstorm, let me tell you that.
That's funny, you get to play Brainstorm in Charbelcher, I suppose, at that point.
Yeah.
Because you actually...
In Vintage, yeah.
Yeah, you actually have enough mana sources that's not terrible.
So here we go. It looks like Caleb finishing up his shuffling routine. Josh Hendricks looks like he wants to get on with it here. These two players friends, though. Caleb lent Josh Hendricks the deck, which he in turn borrowed from someone else.
Right, he lent him the list, not the actual cards.
Oh, okay. I thought it was the cards themselves.
Unclear.
So Josh Hendricks with Deathrite Ale on the left versus Caleb Durward with RIP Miracles on the right. They're going to Game 3, the rubber match. Winner moves on to face Rug in the semis.
Right, and Caleb mulliganing to 6, not even waiting to hear what Josh is doing.
That's interesting. I feel like we wouldn't see Caleb do that if he wasn't playing a friend in the top 8.
Yeah, the cards are borrowed from, quote, everyone, according to the players. And both players mulliganing to 6. Caleb really just probably wants to find a hand with a Divining Top in the opener. I think that's for the most part, I think the most important thing that he has.
Yeah, by far his most important card. That's why Game 1 we saw him Force of Will that turn 1 Inquisition, because he knew he had to protect that Divining Top.
Right.
Just so good against these black-white attrition-style decks. So now that both players are on 6, who do you think that favors?
Both players on 6, Caleb, absolutely. Caleb, as we already seen, can operate on 0 cards, just finding answers. Once he has a top down, he can just find answers every turn.
Right.
You know, he can manipulate his draws so that it gets virtual card advantage. He's very good at building back up from that. Josh Hendricks, we saw that board state where Hendricks had a Liliana, and they both just had tops in play, and Caleb was able to outdraw Josh on that board.
Yeah, pretty amazing to beat a Liliana Ultimate. Well, he faced a Liliana Ultimate in 2 games, beat it 1 game, and really, I think if they played this matchup a lot, I think Liliana Ultimate happens more often than not. Yeah.
And the 4 of Liliana, one of the best weapons for Josh.
Probably not a matchup that either one of them play tested. The Deathrite Ale versus Rest in Peace Miracles deck.
Yeah. All right, both players presenting again.
And we'll see if they can keep some 6.
It's got to be pretty nerve-wracking for some of the other players currently in the top 4. You know, having sat around for a while waiting for their matches to start. Especially if you have Ben Robinson, first player to finish. You know, knowing that he has the winner of this matchup.
Yeah, crushes Justin Uppel in 20 minutes, and then has to cool his heels for another hour.
Right.
While Caleb Durward takes a sweet shuffling time. And here we go. These are the 6. We'll see how they are. Caleb looks like he likes them. Josh, uncertain.
Josh, uncertain.
We saw Josh make a loose keep in the standard yesterday during his feature match. I don't think he likes to mulligan much.
No one likes to mulligan very much, but yeah, sometimes it's a necessity. Yeah, Josh, puzzling here.
Going to 5 on the
Win with his
play,
hand.
never fun. Caleb's hand can't make much of it out. I think I saw a counterbalance in there. Counterbalancing some land. And Josh, I think Pithing Needle, 1 land only. So it looks like he's thinking about keeping the hand on the back of Pithing Needle, but if he can't cast any of his spells, then even Pithing Needle won't do much.
And he is...
And it looks like they're talking about the hand, debating it. Caleb instantly shakes his head no. He says, no, that's not a keep, man. All that hand. And I'm inclined to agree. 1 land on the play in a format like Legacy, that's just suicide.
Caleb's not a wasteland deck, and I suppose if it was a 1-land Divining Top hand, I'm probably okay keeping it.
Yeah,
but
the 1-land Divining Top is good.
Right. I mean, good might be a stretch, but it's keepable, especially on 6. So Hendricks going to 5.
Yep, Caleb's staying pat on 6. Like I said before, he looks pretty content with his hand. Didn't really tank about it. Probably just an average hand, lands and spells. At least half of his counterbalance lock.
Yes, and Caleb played against his Elves list during the Swiss as well. So Caleb, a lot of, one of the Star City grinders certainly in this, and one of the suppliers of deck lists for this tournament.
Well, hey, if you brew a lot of Legacy decks, and you have a lot of friends, and you have a lot of cards, there you go. You can arm a lot of people. Make sure someone wins the tournament. Caleb, though, taking the blue-white deck for himself. Definitely the best choice. One of the best decks in the tournament.
Easily, I would say.
Yeah. I'm more impressed by every game I watch. Beating a Liliana Ultimate, like we said before, no easy task.
Right.
And now, Caleb's friend was in contention pretty late into the tournament. We featured him
Jeremy Stowe.
Jeremy Stowe, that's the one.
Yep.
He was Caleb's friend.
He ended up in 10th place, playing the same 75 as Caleb.
Yeah, now I'm not sure if they brewed the list together or Caleb just gave him the list, but same 75. Jeremy Stowe went 5-0, needed to win 1 match in the last 2 to lock it up. Couldn't do it.
Yeah. All right, turn 1, and Josh Hendricks doesn't seem to have a great hand, but gonna go fetch land.
Yep, thinking about this blind Cabal therapy here. I wonder what he's gonna name.
The question is, if he gets another chance at it, if he has any way to garner more information. Cards he'd be really scared of would be Sensei's Divining Top, I would say.
Yeah,
that's probably what I would name blind.
Same. The top is just the key card in this matchup. Not sure if Josh Hendricks realizes it, though.
It's a card that you're not going to be able to beat if it's in Caleb's opener.
Yes. I mean, Jace the Mind Sculptor is an appealing name. Counterbalance is an appealing name. But ultimately, I don't think it's any of those. I think it's
have a Tide Hollow Scholar in his hand. It's possible that he wants to wait and do it turn 3. Nope, he's going to blind go for therapy.
Yeah, it has to be top, especially if you have a Scholar. And that's a whiff. Wow, look at that hand.
That hand, not exactly an impressive one from Caleb.
No.
Yeah.
So
it's got lands.
Josh Hendricks gets to peek Caleb Durward's hand, but effectively mulling to 4 here. The Cabal Therapy whiffs.
Yep. I'm not sure what was named. It wasn't Helm, and it wasn't Counterbalance. Counterbalance is the only reasonable one of those two to be named.
Right. Helm of Obedience, go.
Yeah.
We'll try and find out from the table judge what was named for you. Get some more info into Josh Hendricks' thought processes, what he's afraid of in this match.
If Caleb could really flood out here, Caleb's going to... he draws a Swords. That's probably it.
It's probably his best draw besides Divining Top.
If he names Divining Top.
And Josh Hendricks is going to be in for a rude awakening when he sees the freshly drawn swords.
Yeah. So Josh Hendricks fetches himself down to 18.
And Caleb, again, proving why he's the legacy master.
Yeah.
The right spells on the right turns.
He induces mulligans. That's it. Double scrub land for Josh Hendricks. Going to go for Tide Hollow Scholar. One more land, and he has some play here. So
yeah, Josh definitely not out of this game, even though Caleb will land Counterbalance if he wants to.
It means he's going to have to take Swords to Plowshares here.
Right. There's no other choice here. You're not going to like this, Josh. Check out my swords.
Yep. Using you take swords is the only way that Josh gets to keep a 2/2 around.
Right.
The thing about the counterbalance in hand, yes, he'll take swords. I mean, Josh can, if he draws another land here, he can get a Liliana going. That certainly gives him some plays.
Right, and a blind 3 flip off counterbalance is so unlikely from Caleb. I think there are,
He has
after board 4 maybe? 5?
Entreat the Angels is a 3. It's that there's 1 card. There's 2 energy fields and 2 detention spheres.
Energy field is 2, I believe. 2 detention sphere, 1 entreat, Aura of Silence after board,
Right,
and then Jace Bellarmine.
Right.
So there it is. Josh Hendricks draws a 3-drop, not the draw he wanted. Oh wow, Caleb drawing Brainstorm. He can now put.
Yeah, Brainstorm fetch line. That's pretty much the game. He's not gonna be able to.
I wouldn't say it's over yet. He doesn't
close.
have a 3-drop. Caleb's not going to be able to counter this Liliana. Not going to be able to counter the Lingering Souls. And unless
perhaps. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll see an attack with.
That's definitely step 1. Step 1 has to be attack here.
Yep. And he's going to opt to cast his spells pre-combat.
Ooh, the old pre-combat main phase. That's when I like to use my Divining Top.
Right. Well, if you have things with haste or things that matter pre-combat, it is the play.
Yep.
But I don't know. Maybe he wants to. I don't think it's going to affect his decision at all to attack. So maybe less information is better.
Maybe. I mean, he could just be not attacking because he doesn't want to run into the Vendalion Click, or wants to see if the Liliana is countered, so he's free to swing, not being afraid of Vendalion Click. But
sure, that can be fair. Running into Vendalion Click would be pretty bad for him. There are 3 Vendalion Clicks in Caleb's deck.
Still, though, I still would probably attack first.
I mean, the Vendalion Click wasn't there just a moment ago, you know.
Right.
Yeah. So what he can do is, he can always. He's going to play Liliana. I'll go with Lingering Souls, which I do kind of like.
Yeah,
Brainstorm from Durward.
I like the Souls better than the Liliana there. He has to put some pressure.
He's found a Terminus and a Supreme Verdict.
Wow, yeah, so Caleb, 2 sweepers in hand.
Supreme Verdict, Counterspell, Terminus. I mean, and then that's why this deck is so good.
And the Helm of Obedience for backup in case Caleb needs a Bob.
Sure.
So he'll put Terminus Counterbalance back, it looks like. Miracle the Terminus. And say go. Should be his next play. And he also has a fetch land available, which is nice because he can shuffle away that extra counterbalance.
Shuffled away those extra. Shuffle away the extra counterbalance. He's gonna Cabal Therapy, and we'll see what he's gonna name. I mean, he knows Humble Obedience is in the hand. That's the only card he actually knows about.
Right, it's pretty tough here.
Yeah, he gets Helm. That's the only card he knows about. So
that's the safe play.
Yep, Counterspell, Supreme Verdict.
So now Josh Hendricks at least got a use out of his 1/1 before it gets Supreme Verdict, or rather Terminus.
I mean, the bigger issue is that he's going to no attacks. Okay.
Yeah, I think the long 2 days of Magic getting to Josh Hendricks there misses the 2 points of damage.
Yep, swords back to Caleb's hand. Maybe he says go to attacks, and no, that was no attacks. That was Caleb just drew the card. He's drawn a Deathrite Shaman, it appears. The counterspell is up, so Liliana's not going to be resolving.
No, at this point, Josh has to choose between, and he chooses to get some gas into play.
And that's fine. Caleb shuffling away that extra counterbalance. He doesn't actually want to see it, so he's just going to go get another land, see if he can maybe blind hit a 3. Why not?
Exactly. Josh Hendricks also knows about the counterspell in Caleb's hand, so there's no way that that's happening. And now it looks like this might be a judge call.
He didn't say maintain the trigger on the stack or something. I mean, I doubt it matters either way. So Caleb and
no, these 2 players are friends. I don't think that Josh would do that to him. If anything, it's the judge trying to enforce this. The friendly banter in the mid-match, the fact that Josh showed Caleb his 6 and asked him if he should keep. There's no way Josh is trying to get Caleb here. I think the judge was concerned more than anything. So yeah, it looks like that was resolved. We'll try and figure out from the table judge exactly what happened there. Let you guys know as soon as we know. But for now, we'll see if Caleb can hit a 3. And here we go. Josh gives it a cut.
And he blind counters the Lingering Souls.
Caleb Durward, ladies and gentlemen. Caleb Durward.
Yep, and slowly dense card. Like, yeah, okay. Yeah, that's 3. Yep, that is the same. It is how it works. Even though you paid 2 for it, it's a 3.
Yep, look at the top right.
Go. Josh Hendricks. He sees the writing on the wall. Go for Death Ray Shaman. Sure. It's going to resolve. Get swords.
Maybe he'll blind flip a 1.
Yeah. It flips over the top card. No, it's a 1.
I don't know how it happened, Josh. So Vendelian Click drawn for Caleb. He's almost got this one locked up.
And he'll probably end step the Vendelian Click.
Yeah, I think so. I think he'll keep counter mana up.
Yeah.
Oh, draw phase.
Draw step it. Sure. Lingering Souls, Liliana of the Veil. Because he doesn't have counter magic up, he's going to have to take the Liliana there.
Right, and that's kind of why I don't like the Vendelian Click during draw phase.
Yeah, you can just counter a spell and then, you know, it's probably the same either way. If he casts Lingering Souls, it'll have the same effect.
Even Mind Sensor drawn for Josh.
But with end step, it doesn't give Josh access to that extra card.
It's true too. Here we go, 3 mana. Here comes the Souls.
All right, Lingering Souls. 2 more 1/1s. No, nope, just a 2 off. Josh, fist pump right there.
Caleb is very unlucky.
Yeah. All right.
So Caleb gets to untap with his Vendelian Click. That won't do much though in the face of the Souls.
Back. Yep. Caleb, all the time in the world.
Oh, and Bob. So Josh Hendricks.
Yeah, Josh Hendricks knows there's a Supreme Verdict waiting for it though. Caleb will trade the V-click away, take 1 damage. All right, Josh has a clock going now.
Exactly. Josh Hendricks happy to trade 1/4 of a Lingering Souls.
I think what happens is Josh probably will end step Mind Sensor with the hope of forcing a Supreme Verdict.
Right. Now, of course, Josh does know about that Supreme Verdict, so he's not just, or so he shouldn't just run his Bob into the Verdict.
No. So he's gonna have to run his Bob into the counter spell is the problem, which he also knows about.
Better, yeah, but.
And Caleb not even trying to blind counterbalance it. Interesting. I think he just missed that he had an opportunity for a free counter.
I think so. He doesn't know his top card. Ooh, that's
Divining
a
top
good
for
one right
Hendricks.
now.
Oh, that's gonna probably get a counter. So we'll see if he gets it, or if silence, that's 3.
And it was a 3 on top.
It was a 3 on top. Even Mind Sensor wouldn't have gotten it. Counter spell.
If any spell deserves a counter spell, it's the top.
So interesting enough, if Caleb Divine Verdicts here, or Supreme Verdicts.
I think so. We haven't seen him be too hesitant to use his Master Rules.
I think he's gonna wait another turn.
One more turn. And somehow, with this amazing start by Caleb Durward, he's actually threatened by Josh here.
Only slightly. So I mean, I suppose if all the problem is he doesn't have his top in place, so it's not like unbeatable. He's not going to cast a second counterbalance.
Right now, the second counterbalance seems useless on the surface, but if Caleb has a fetch land, this will let him say, resolve 1, use a fetch land, resolve the other.
Yeah, Josh was about to go for that Umazawa's GTA until he realized it would cost 4.
Right, that's not going to work.
Caleb jumps to 10.
Should be content to say go. No. Oh, okay.
Yeah,
just the GTA.
Just the
that's
GTA.
fine.
Sure, cast it for 4. You can equip it next turn.
Yep, get it out of the way. Caleb.
And
wow,
that's that's pretty bad for Josh.
Yeah, Josh going to be in a very rough spot here. Aura Silence will take care of the GTA. Jace will probably jump up to 5. Either that or...
Well, the problem is Jace he might have to Verdict to make sure things are safe for Jace.
I don't think so. I think he can play Jace up it to 5.
All right.
And then next turn Verdict away. That also quasi-time locks Josh, because Josh can't commit anything else to the board. So we'll see who he targets here, though.
Himself.
Swords to Plowshares, wow. So
yeah,
another
can't imagine I'd get rid of that.
Interesting.
Yep.
Caleb really had to find a Planeswalker here, or else he would have been forced to Verdict away the 3 power of Flyers.
Mm-hmm. Jason, a very strong draw.
So GTA will probably force Caleb's hand here. Josh doesn't have another play.
Yeah. Caleb's not going to want to spend the Aura of Silence on the GT. He's going to want to spend the Aura of Silence on the potential O-ring that Josh might draw for his Jace. Caleb very content next turn just to Brainstorm, cast Supreme Verdict, and then pretty much win from there.
Well, we'll see. I thought Josh was out of it on turn 2, but he's come back this game. Caleb's at 10. That's lower than he managed to get him last game, I believe.
3 more damage in at Caleb. They're at Jace. Jace was up to 2. That's probably fine.
Yep, and post-combat, I don't know. I'm not sure why he didn't equip.
Alright. Yeah, I did miss an equip there. That's going to be 4 life. It may potentially grow an attacker at some point. Likely that it doesn't matter. Yeah, okay. Now he will equip it.
Nice little post-combat G-die. That's okay, though.
Alright.
Caleb Durward firmly in control of this one.
Yep, and Josh knows what's grabbed both his creatures, kind of has a hunching of what's going to happen here. Well, first we're going to probably start with a nice Brainstorm from Jace. Wasting no time, not even...
Caleb rethinks that. He knows he's going to Verdict, but there's absolutely no reason not to Brainstorm first.
More information is better than less. He finds, now he's found the top and Entreat. Top, Entreat, another counterbalance. Alright, that should...
Yeah, not many lands for Caleb, so Entreat would only be for 2, but I think that's going to be enough.
For 3. For 3.
Oh, for 3.
Yep.
My bad. Then 3 will definitely be enough.
Yep, he'll Verdict here. And he'll Swords the Bob next turn, and then Miracle for 3 Angels.
Yep, so Josh Hendricks has a 1-turn window here. Has to find something nice on the top of his deck.
Okay, we'll crack a fetch line, go to 17.
So if you're just joining us right now, you're joining a marathon match, 74 minutes into this one. Caleb Durward, 1 game. Josh Hendricks, 1 game. They're deep in Game 3 right now, playing for the right to move on to the semifinals of the Legacy Open here in St. Louis. Right now, Caleb in a commanding position with double counterbalance, Aura of Silence, Jace the Mind Sculptor, with a Swords to Plowshares in hand. Josh Hendricks, on the other hand, has a Jite, a slew of land, a Bob in hand, and a Lingering Souls in the graveyard.
Alright, so the draw there from Josh Hendricks. Wouldn't be able to catch that one, but I mean, he's going to try to make Bob here. And it's a Tide Hollow Sculler. So first he's going to Sculler.
Okay,
and
that's pretty good.
That will get the Swords to Plowshares out of Durward's hand.
Oh, and it costs 4 because of the Aura of Silence.
Yep.
That's right, too. It's really Josh's failure to equip last turn might mean the difference between casting Sculler and not casting Sculler. If Caleb would have blown up the GT.
Caleb would have blown up GT. Yeah, and I don't think Caleb would have. I think we just see 2 counters on the GT here.
Probably.
You know,
the GT can be blown up at any time.
Well, the last thing he wants is for an Oblivion Ring to take out Jace.
Right, and it's not like 4 life matters in the least to Caleb Durward.
No. So Dark Confidant will be in play for Josh instead. And he'll get equipped with GT. Or he'll cast Lingering Souls.
And there's the 3. There's the retreat. Writing on the wall.
Caleb decides to let him know just what's about to happen.
Yep. Let me give you a preview of things to come, Josh.
Yes.
And Josh Hendricks, really tired of these blind counterbalances. Semi-blind counterbalances.
Alright, and a Swords on Bob, untap, draw, make 3 Angels, Brainstorm, go. Make 3 Angels, maybe Fate Seal, go. Yep, 3 Angels, gonna Entreat for 3 Angels, and
how to use the Jace, that's the question.
Probably Fate Seal. Yep, and then go look at Josh's top card. Just wants to make sure he doesn't draw any way to deal with this. I don't think Josh has one, but, you know, just wants to be sure.
Yep, still no reason to risk it. He already has enough cards, already has enough creatures. And yet Josh Hendricks, land, Tide Hollow Sculler in hand.
Yeah, and get that Divining Top.
All mine.
Fist bumps. And yeah, 1 turn and then Caleb's going to Fate Seal. Probably will show. Oh, sure he'll unsummon. He wants that top back. Plays the top.
So Caleb swings for 12 here. Drops Josh to 7. Josh on his last turn.
There's not an out that he has here.
Yeah, and Josh knows it. He draws.
Arid Mesa. Alright, and that'll be it. Caleb Durward defeats Josh Hendricks 2-1, moves on to the top 4.
Congratulations to Josh Hendricks. He's had a great weekend. He went 7-2 in the standard. He top-8'd here. Couldn't move past the quarters, but for 2 off-the-wall decks, for 2 offbeat, seemingly semi-untuned decks, I think he did a great job this weekend.